Hey, what's going on guys, Khraze here, welcome back to another video, and today we're gonna check out Tainted Grail Conquest, possibly one of the coolest deck building roguelites that we have around, and for good reason. I've been enjoying it over the past week or so, had a ton of fun with it. It definitely seems to have a solid gameplay loop with some really awesome combat mechanics. We're gonna go over some of the classes that exist in the game, some of their powerful abilities and decks that you can build for them, and also a bunch of other stuff including the brand new update that will add some new gameplay modes for you to enjoy in case you want to check this game out. Of course, this video is sponsored, so I will give a huge shout out to the Tainted Grail team, and let's jump right into it. Now, Tainted Grail starts with the character creation, and yes, you can create your character. There are some slight RPG elements in there too, even outfits that you can unlock for these classes that you play with, but nothing too overly complicated so that it doesn't detract from the game's true purpose, which is the roguelite element with the deck building on top. Essentially, you get to play with a pretty diverse set of classes with their own unique abilities, and as you play more and level up, you get to unlock new abilities which come in the form of these ability cards that will get added to your deck, and this will get you more prepared for the challenges ahead, for some of the enemies that you will have to fight, which will be increasingly more difficult as you progress more and more. This brings us to the first real aspect of the game, which is its roguelite nature. If you played recently Returnal, you are kind of familiar with this genre. Essentially, you get to die a lot in these types of games, but every single time you die, you kinda improve. You always make progress. Some of it is lost, but quite a bit of it is actually kept through each of the sessions. It's part of the experience, and you will improve over time as you adapt to enemies and challenges. Now, in this game, not all progress is going to be lost. Some of it you get to keep it, including the story progression, some of the quest items, especially the cosmetics, the people you get to save. Yes, you will do quite a bit of saving as well as you rebuild your town, and also some of the classes that you get to unlock. The game really wants you to go out there and experiment things out, which is possible thanks to the really high and diverse selection of classes. And I kind of want to start things off with the classes because I think that this is one of the biggest highlights of the game. There's 9 of them in total with like very unique abilities, decks, and ultimates. Now, in this video, I will not focus on all of them. Personally, I only played with 3 of them, which are the Apostate, the Pathfinder, and the Summoners, but I will mainly focus on the Summoner since he is, well, she is in this case, my favorite class. I especially enjoy this class because it comes with a few unique abilities that make it survive for a lot longer in combat while still doing good damage with the minions. So yes, this is going to be a minion heavy kind of class that at the beginning of the combat starts with a golem, and this golem, you can take advantage of it to redirect most of the incoming damage from you to him, meaning that you can actually do a bunch of really cool things here, including buffing the golem and even promoting it to sustain even more damage and then reflect some of that damage back to the enemies. There are some really ridiculous results you can build with a really powerful deck here just with this class alone. Sometimes you can see entire groups of enemies almost getting one-shotted themselves because the golem can absorb and reflect so much of the incoming damage. Of course, assuming that you have a proper build for that. There's others, of course, in there you can summon, including these abominations, worms, and fey creatures that will all give you different bonuses in combat. Some of them can deal really high single target damage, others can deal AoE damage against the entire groups of enemies, while others can debuff the enemy groups while simultaneously providing buffs for you. And even more so, the ultimate for the summoner is really awesome. You get the ability to actually promote minions once that bubble over there fills up. It fills up, by the way, as you activate more and more minions, and once it fills up, you can just promote a selected minion, essentially starting combat with a really high level very fast, giving you a major advantage against almost any enemy. Now, we're also going to check some of the game modes that you can find in Tainted Grail, and with the new update that will drop really soon, we're gonna get 3 new ones that we will check in just a little bit. Now, the Conquest is the default experience, the main story, so to speak, And yes, there is a narrative in there as well. Essentially, you kind of start in this village, which is pretty much abandoned, but you get to rebuild it by going out in the wild and finding and rescuing these people, and then convincing them to pretty much work for you and kind of rebuild this village so that you can escape this hell that you're in pretty much. And it's this progress right here that will save over each of the fights, and each time you die, you still get to get back to the village, and your villagers that you unlocked are still there, and they will provide some really useful buffs or items. You can buy additional potions from them so that you don't die as easily in combat, or you can upgrade the blacksmith to create some really powerful items and runes. And these are just a couple of examples. There's many more and a ton of stuff that you will find out in the wild when you go out there. But this is just the default experience. There's 3 additional ones that will be added with the new update, which I want to focus on a little bit more. And these include the Endless Misery, the Endless Power, and finally the weekly event. Now, the first two, both of these, Endless Misery and Endless Power, pretty much got rid of the exploration bit and instead fully focus on pure combat. Yeah, they essentially behave like ladders that you progress through, and every single fight you fight through becomes a little bit more challenging, but also gives you a lot more rewards. So as you progress through these more, you will reach those more powerful decks a lot faster, and also kind of create these really amazing results. And I mean it, the high-end combat in this game is definitely a lot of fun. The low-level one as well, but the high-end one, you can create some really powerful results for all of the classes in the game. I will start things off with the Endless Misery though. This I definitely found to be the most challenging because it essentially goes forever. It becomes a lot more difficult with each level, and it also gives you some rewards at the end as well, including new ability cards and new passives that will help you in each turn. I again enjoyed the Summoner class a lot in this mode. It's, as a matter of fact, my best class for the Endless Misery, simply because I was able to survive for such a long time in this mode. It's especially so because of my golem ability. I can reflect damage back, meanwhile I can focus on the other minions that will deal damage against parties, and again, I had so much fun with this. The other mode is going to be the Endless Power. Now this is slightly different. It still goes infinitely, but this time around the power spikes are way bigger. This means that you don't have to like fight tougher enemies to see some really awesome legendary cards dropping or some really powerful effects that will completely change your build in just a couple of runs. Like, that power spike is way bigger than the Endless Misery, and it also seems to be a little bit easier as a result. So this is a little bit more of a casual experience compared to that one. If you just want to like play the game out, see these powerful decks, and kind of test the next class that you want to main, this might be the best one out there. In this case, I believe that I played with the Apostate. I had a ton of fun with it in the Endless Power because I was getting so many buffs that were making the Apostate the best class in the game, really. Like, if you can get the buffs, it's gonna be one of the best class, really. The final one is going to be the weekly challenges, and these differ a little bit. They still keep the exploration bit, they still keep the default experience and pretty much the whole of the story, but with some weekly and bi-weekly modifiers. Some of them might restrict the number of classes that you can play. In this case, this week we are restricted to just the Pathfinder, but the difficulty is increased. All of your attacks are duplicated, and all of the cards cost are -1 energy. Essentially, since most of your attacks are just 1 energy, you can cast them for free, so it can make the combat super easy. It's also a lot more challenging, by the way. The starting enemies will definitely be way more difficult, so you can go ahead and compete against other players that have played the game and kind of see where you stack on the leaderboard. And this also changes, by the way, on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. This is it though with Tainted Grail. I had a ton of fun in it, by the way. Also, another huge shout out to the Tainted Grail team. And if you go ahead and check out the game right now using the links down below, you can get a 20% discount on the game right now for about 7 days. So definitely make sure you go ahead and do that. And I'll see you guys in the next video.